Let's get some reaction to this from a resident. Tanyss Munro lives in Bella Coola Valley, and she's had close encounters with bears before. She joins us from Toronto, where she's visiting. Thank you very much for speaking with us. What's your reaction to hearing that 2 bears have now been caught?
I mean, it's good, but really what happened was with the children was so devastating. And that's two bears being caught, that's a good start. But I'm concerned about the long-term welfare of everything in the valley.
Yeah, and now you've had a close encounter with a grizzly. Describe that for us.
Yeah, so we think it was a sow and 2 cubs, because the sow and 2 cubs was getting into homes near where we are in the rural area. And the bears went inside 2 houses. We have a cottage and a trailer. And with the trailer, those are steel-clad doors. They just ripped off the door and actually folded it in half and dragged fridges and stoves and everything across. Both places were just devastated on the inside. And it's pretty terrifying to have that happen. Those bears. Sorry, I was just going to say, 1 was caught, 1 was trapped, but 2 are still at large.
Yeah, so I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just looking at some of the pictures that you sent us from inside your home. So your home looked normal, pristine, clean before this happened, because it looks like a tornado has hit the house.
It does. Garbage dumps look better than this.
And so the other thing, I mean, I've watched some videos before of bears inside houses, and you just see how powerful they are and how frightening it is. And for you to think that those bears were doing this inside your house must have left you and your family shaken.
Just shaken. And the terrifying thing is, with them at large, bears will, a bear's life, a lot of a bear's life is looking for food. That is what they have to do. They will be back. And it's pretty terrifying to know that in other instances, including with the school with the children, the bear spray didn't seem to have a lot of effect. And that's our weapon, is the bear spray. We have bear spray. And that's not going to make a difference. How do we even protect ourselves?
We're having a little trouble with our internet connection, but I'm going to ask you another question, and hopefully that'll clear up a little bit. When you had these bears ransacking your house, and when you called the authorities after to tell them, how did they respond?
They did come out. There were a number of calls they were getting at the time. There was hesitation, though. There were a couple of key times where the conservation officer could have done something. One time where the bear was just behind the first rank of trees, about 50 feet away or something. And another time where they could have acted more quickly to get back out there to set traps or whatever. Now, turns out the traps didn't work anyway, second time around, because the bears saw what happened to the first bear, and so the traps didn't work. Yeah. So, here's the thing. The officers said to me, it was an RCMP officer and a conservation officer, and what they said is that they had to be so careful with any bear that they trapped, because they're being watched like a hawk. And so I would just suggest that we need to figure out a way for the conservation officers to have a freer hand to be able to act assertively in the case of aggressive, dangerous bears.
Listen, that is a really important point that you're making. So I might get you to underscore that a little bit, because I said this to Sarah a few minutes ago. We get a lot of reaction here in the newsroom every time we do something about bear-human encounters, and it almost always is criticism of anything that suggests that, bears are to blame or bears create a danger. I mean, as a resident of Bella Coola, visiting Toronto now, but a resident of Bella Coola, how safe do you and other people you've talked to, how safe do you feel in your community?
I had felt completely safe, because like everyone else, I take precautions. And in our case, we don't even have like a compost outside. We can't, because that was attracting the bears, but we just take precautions like every other resident. And so until now, I've felt okay with being careful outside. And now it's pretty terrifying, Ian.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't be terrified in your own community or in your own home. And so let's finish with this. What do you say to people out there, and you've heard them, right, who say that these bears are just doing what bears do. We're encroaching on their habitat. We have to proceed very carefully. What do you say to those people, Tanyss?
I just have to say that I'm not an expert in any of this, but we need to be looking at some sort of management of bears. And I'm not talking about hunting, and I'm certainly not talking about trophy hunting, but I am talking about let's look at what can be done so that where the people live, there's a place for them to live we've just seen the number of bears we've seen in the last couple of years, but especially this year was ridiculous. By the way, there are no black bears left in the valley, according to the conservation officer, because there's so many grizzly bears right now, they've run them out. So it's not balanced right now. It's not humans and bears. We're not living in harmony at this point. And at some point, someone could be killed. It came very close with the children.
Tanyss Munro lives in Bella Coola Valley. She joins us tonight from Toronto. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you, Ian.